This
Good morning,
conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, and welcome to Family Business Atlantic Staying Connected webinar series. I'm Amine Mousavi, President of Family Business Atlantic. I'm sure we all have a very busy week, and we thank you for joining us today as we end the week discussing insurance coverages during COVID-19 and this pandemic. We have been hosting these webinars to keep us all connected and to reinforce that we are not alone. Many of the challenges you are facing, everyone is facing. So in our efforts to help businesses, their owners and employees during this stressful time, we wanted to let everybody know on this webinar today that Family Business Atlantic will be waiving their membership fees for all new businesses who become members for the next 5 months. So this will allow owners and family members to join peer groups, to connect with our trusted advisors, and we will continue to develop relevant programs through our webinar series. And that will be very tailored towards the needs of owners and businesses who will be doing business during these extraordinary times. So we ask you to share this offering with anyone in your network who you may feel would be interested. And of course, we encourage you to join our webinars and share them with businesses who are in need of our support today and tomorrow. With that being said, we have two experts here with us this morning who will be giving us an overview on what they have been experiencing with insurance opportunities and challenges, and who will be able to answer all your questions. We have Gina McFetrich, who is president of Archway Insurance, a family business with over 31 locations and more than 200 employees between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Archway Insurance is proud to be an Atlantic-owned independent insurance brokerage, and Gina is a past member of Family Business Atlantic's board of directors. We also have Ron Cluett, who is the life and group manager at Cluett Insurance and works with his financial team to service his clients. Ron has worked in the insurance industry for over 15 years, and he is a current member of the board of directors for our association. And this family-owned business is in their 40th year of business and has successfully transitioned to the next generation. We thank you both for being here with us today. For those on the line, if we can please ask you to mute your microphones during this presentation, but please do ask your questions through the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. We definitely want this to be an interactive webinar. We want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So with that being said, take it away, Gina and Ron.
Thanks. All right, we didn't plan this part, but anyway, so this is our agenda.
You're first.
I'm going to start. I'm going to speak just briefly about personal insurance because although we're business owners, we do also have personal insurance policies, then a bit on the commercial side, and then turn it over to Ron, who will finish things off looking at group benefits and life. All right, next slide. So personal insurance, the industry has started to take steps. I think basically last Friday, I think, is when things started hitting mainstream media in terms of what sort of relief was going to be provided by insurance companies for personal auto insurance policies. Many people are driving less, not commuting, they park their vehicles and aren't driving at all. Out of the gate, most companies had come out with waiving their NSF fees. Since that time, we've seen and continue to see companies taking a variety of actions. As brokers, we had certainly hoped they would maybe take a more universal approach, but at the same time are very pleased to see that relief is being offered and that the lower risk of less cars on the road and less miles being driven is resulting in some premium relief. So we're seeing greater flexibility with payment options. Again, that's mostly on request. So if somebody's unemployed and needs a deferral for payment, they can call their broker and ask for that payment to be deferred. Some companies are actually offering premium rebates, reductions as well, where people are driving less. And as well, we're starting to see some companies either put a cap on planned increases or put a hold on planned increases. As we know, I'm sure you've seen the trend in recent years of auto insurance premiums going up as claims were increasing, and it's a very different year this year than it has been in the past few years. So acknowledging that the risk has gone down, a lot are putting premium increases on hold. And there's talk as well about doing that on the home side as well. I haven't seen that happen yet, but expect, depending on how long this crisis continues, that we will see that as well. Finally, some companies have state of emergency wording within their underwriting guidelines, which actually prevent a policy from being canceled during the state of emergency. And other companies as well have decided that, during, for 90 up to a 90-day period or 100 during the state of the emergency, that they will, if a client is unable to pay, still hold that policy's coverage in place. Again, it's a mixed bag. Companies are all taking different approaches, and so it's really important to speak with your insurance professional if you're needing assistance in making those payments, to see what options your company is offering. And they are. If you called 3 or 4 weeks ago, you may want to follow up again, because things have definitely changed in the last week. All right. Don't see any questions on that, so I'm going to move on to commercial. Basically, similar to personal lines, we're seeing a waiving of NSF fees, consideration for premium deferral on a case-by-case basis. I am the chair of our Provincial Brokers Association and a director on the board of the National Brokers Association of Canada. And we have been working very closely with IBC, which is the company or the kind of national association that all insurance companies are members of, to put the needs of both personal as well as commercial clients in front of insurance companies. A lot of times they don't see what's happening on the front line because we're selling our products to the public for them. So through those organizations, it's been really important to make sure that what's going on in the front lines, what you guys are trying to do with your businesses, is being heard, and that IBC is taking action within its membership to make sure that clients are being looked after and issues are being dealt with. So with that in mind, in terms of commercial insurance, we put 4 formal requests forward to IBC, and I'm going to outline them here. And there is varying degrees of action being taken on these, and no doubt will be more in the coming weeks. So first of all, I've just kind of put this in the form of questions here. So again, deferrals, and we've also asked IBC to consider premium caps and freezing of premiums for commercial insurance on renewal, and as well to make some exceptions. We know that underwriting has been tightening, and we're asking them that they consider, if a risk was not to their appetite, that they really work hard with the client to find a way to renew or at least hold covered until we can get through this situation. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, it's really important to call your broker and see what kind of options could be available to you. Another thing we're seeing with our commercial clients is, they're losing significant revenue. Some have been forced to close. Others are seeing, 25% or more declines in their revenue. Generally speaking, midterm adjustments to your revenue aren't done on the commercial side. And again, understanding that this is an exceptional year, we've lobbied the insurance industry to say, you know what, you need to take into consideration that the hit that these people are facing. And at this point in time, we've seen some markets are allowing those midterm adjustments, and we expect that more will be forthcoming. So if you've seen, your business is closed, you've seen an incredible dip in your revenue, that you should be able to get an adjustment in your premium based on those changes in your operations. Finally, we've also seen some businesses change their operations dramatically as a result of COVID-19 in order to keep the doors open. And two examples that come to mind are Stanfield's in Truro, that is now making medical gowns, and we have Ironworks Distillery down in Lunenburg that is now making hand sanitizers. So they're doing their best to keep the doors open, to keep people employed. But these changes in operations generally would as well trigger required changes in their policies and maybe even cancellations and rewrites. And what, again, we as brokers are saying to insurance companies and working with them, both one-on-one as well as through our national association, is, you need to be flexible with these policy holders that are being creative and finding ways to continue to operate, and most importantly, that are supporting efforts to fight COVID-19 and get our economy back on track. So that's, I guess, the long and short of it is there's a lot being done to try to put some universal rules and relief in place at the national level. But in the meantime, definitely call your broker and find out what your company is doing or is willing to do. So the next thing I'd like to discuss briefly is business interruption insurance. When COVID first hit, a lot of brokers were inundated with calls from clients who were hoping to make claims under their business interruption. And what we have been, as we've been reporting those claims, is hearing from insurance companies is that business interruption is triggered by the actual physical damage of a premises. So think fire and flood. And so from their perspective, a pandemic is not a physical damage to the business, and therefore the business interruption insurance does not come into play. So that's generally what we've been hearing, but there's been a lot of pressure on insurance companies. Not every single policy is the same. In some instances, there actually is coverage for COVID-19. So it's really important to not just assume that there is or there isn't coverage, to give your broker a call, talk about your circumstances, look at, if you are facing a significant revenue loss, consider filing a claim, even if you think it's not going to be successful and your broker saying, I'm not feeling good about this. It's good to have that denial on, the only person ultimately that can tell you whether something is covered or not is the insurance company. And so good to get that confirmation, continue collecting information on additional costs that you've incurred as a result of COVID, as well as lost revenue. And worst case scenario, should insurance not come into play, similar to, I think, like the wildfires and the floods in Alberta, if there's government relief, oftentimes they're looking for that denial from the insurance company as part of your application for federal or provincial government relief. So it's a good thing to have that in place, and I do recommend that you have that discussion with your broker. So my final little bit of information here I'm going to talk about is business closure. I think can we flip ahead in the other direction there on the slides? And one more. Oh, okay. Oh, I did just talk about, yeah, this is what I already said anyway. The last slide that I have is on business closures. And just this slide, I've highlighted some of the things that you should be making sure as a responsible business owner that you're doing if your business isn't operating right now. And similar to looking for having a premium cap and a freeze, to having flexibility in terms of operations, to allowing midterm cancellations. The last thing that we as brokers have formally requested of insurance companies is that they provide some flexibility in terms of the 30-day vacancy clause, which we see in a lot of commercial policies. Again, I know, I can speak from experience that brokers are working with insurers one-on-one to get exceptions for their clients, and we are hopeful as a larger association that there's going to be an announcement coming shortly from the insurance company industry around added flexibility in terms of vacancy. We know that you're doing your best, and if the choice was yours, those doors would be open. And in the meantime, if you're in need of an exception, certainly you want to be making sure that you're taking the actions listed on this stage. Making sure that if you have regular maintenance scheduled, you don't skip those appointments, that inspections are done, that there's good lighting, it looks, the building is kept in good shape. You have, whether it's yourself or security or someone else on your team, going into the business on a regular basis, making sure, that pipes are freezing, that if you are looking at cost savings, whether if you haven't drained pipes, to make sure that the heat is maintained at a reasonable level, and that garbage, trash, all that stuff, and that access is available for emergency vehicles. The chances of vandalism and people breaking in and total losses increase when a building's not monitored. So that I guess is it for me at this point. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to turn things over to Ron now.
Thank you, Gina. To kind of highlight some of Gina's big points is it doesn't matter if it's personal lines, commercial, or benefits. Gina is correct. One challenge we're having as brokers is the information is changing day by day and week by week. Is that at our company, we're sending out a weekly newsletter, and even sending that out once a week doesn't seem to be enough, just because our insurance companies are constantly changing and revising. I think in a way, though, it's positive for the clients. So I know a lot of people don't like getting our phone calls and emails. I know a lot of inboxes are pretty full right now, but it's pretty important information to have right now. So one of the big questions we got at the beginning of this were about temporary layoffs. So some of our clients are familiar with laying off employees. It depends on the type of industry you're in. Others have never laid off an employee. So they just had some questions around what to do, because a lot of people who haven't laid off employees in the past, their first thoughts maybe went to suspending benefits. So basically just canceling it off, getting rid of an employee. So I don't think that's anyone's intention. So just to confirm is you can keep your employees on a benefits plan if they are laid off. The second question, how long can we keep them on? So, I think kind of like Gina's points is, all of our insurance companies are unique and they all have different value propositions. But for the most part, we're seeing our companies extending temporary layoffs from anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Hopefully we don't get past this 3 to 6 month marker. If we do, I think we're going to have other problems. But the big question is, what benefits can we extend? And this is one in particular you want to speak to your advisor and or the insurance company. Typically, most benefits you are able to extend. The big one is long-term disability. That will vary by company as well. Some companies will only extend maybe that long-term disability for 31 days. For folks who have maybe laid off employees at the beginning of this, you want to make sure as an employer you're having proper communication with your employees about what benefits you are extending and how long certain benefits are extended. The last thing we want is any lawsuits at the end of this, where an employee maybe has gotten disabled during that layoff period and they may not actually have disability insurance. So one question people have asked us a lot is, I think employers are doing their best to take care of their employees, even if they are laid off. I know the folks who are being laid off are being hit with a bit of a financial crunch. So some of our clients in particular have asked us if they are able to pay the employee's portion of their employee's benefits plan. Now, typically the portion that the employee pays would be things like life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, dependent life, and long-term disability, so that those benefits are not taxable. That being said, some employers do want to help out their employees if they can, and they don't want to have to maybe get post-dated checks for them to pay their 50% of the benefits plan. So we've had a few clients that are doing this, and the one thing that we've gotten the clients to do is get it in writing with your employee that you are giving them a loan and that this money will be paid back. And you would also want to make sure you confirm that with your insurer. So I think it's a really positive thing in that, the employers are doing what they can to help. But on the flip side is you want to make sure that you're not hurting the employee if they were to have a claim down the road as well. Okay. If we can go to the next slide there. The one thing about the long-term disability as well is you want to check with your insurer. Most people don't know this, but there's pre-existing clauses even on group disability plans, usually 3 months prior to coming on a plan and 12 months after coming on the plan. So you want to make sure that if someone is suspended from benefits, or if you do suspend those benefits, or if they've exhausted potentially that 31-day period, that they are maybe not going to be required or have those pre-existing clauses again. So definitely check with your insurer and advisor on that one as well. So some of the positive news we've been hearing. Can we defer our premium payments and will my benefits get suspended? So typically before COVID, most insurance companies gave the clients 31 days to make a payment if they missed a payment. After that 31 days, basically they would kind of shut down everyone's drug card. So if you were at the pharmacy trying to buy any medication, you would be denied. So right now they are recognizing that people probably will be having some issues making these payments. So they basically kind of highlighted to the clients that you do have these 31 days. Some companies have come out and said, we're going to give people up to 60 days. I know my conversations that I've had with my insurers is even if a client does go past 60 days, they're going to look at it as a case-by-case basis and not put these clients on claim suspension. So I think this is where having a good long-standing relationship with an insurer comes into play. Some people may bounce around from one insurance company to another every couple years. Some of our clients that have been with someone for maybe 10 or 15 years, I can tell you that they're going to work with those people probably a little bit more. But once again, that is on a case-by-case basis. Can we defer our renewals? So yes, right now, a lot of our insurance companies are deferring renewals. So Gina mentioned in the commercial and personal line space that we were in a bit of a hard market. to some degree, depending on how your benefits plan is performing, I kind of use the word quote unquote hard market there as well, because we have high cost drugs. A lot of parameds and dental is being used quite a bit. So we have seen some clients getting some pretty big increases in the past. So right now they are deferring these renewals, and I know that's welcome news for a lot of people. Can you suspend specific coverages in your plan? So obviously we can't use certain services right now. The only thing we can use in dental is emergency dental. So a lot of people saying, well, what are we paying for? Can't use vision. You can't use certain parameds like chiro and massage. So keep in mind is how group benefits works. It's kind of dollars in, dollars out with a target loss ratio. So right now we're collecting premium, but we're not experiencing any claims. The rational mind would assume that when these dental offices open back up, that they're going to have a flood of customers. So we're going to experience a lot of claims there. So the question, can you suspend some of these benefits? The answer is yes. The only thing we were being told by our insurers is if we do suspend things like dental, is when you want to put it back on your plan, they're not going to guarantee that same rate. So it was last week, I think it started about Thursday or Friday, we actually got even more good news. Our insurance companies came out and said that they're going to start giving credits on certain benefits. The ones I just mentioned, dental, some of your health benefits, pretty much excluding drugs. So there'd be things like vision, massage, physio, chiro, those types of things. So we're seeing credits of up to 50% on dental. Some of our companies actually are going up to 70%. And some companies are giving credits of 10 or 20% on your healthcare line as well. So I think that's going to create a win-win between the insurers and the clients, and the clients are going to see that immediate premium reduction now, and the insurers are going to recognize that when this crisis is over, they can just initiate that rate without having to charge a client a new rate and having someone potentially upset. So I think that single-handedly was one of the best pieces of news we received in the past month and a half since it started, and it's been welcome news by the clients for sure. If we can flip to the next slide there. Virtual health, telemedicine, and EAP. So what are these things? Virtual health is something we talk about in general. It's basically being able to get any kind of your services needed virtually. So what we mean is basically doing that online or maybe through a phone call. Telemedicine is basically being able to see your doctor virtually as well. So these are services that we have seen insurers offer or start to offer in the last year or two. They're new. They could not be more timely. An employee's assistance plan is exactly what it says. It's a plan to help your employees, maybe with any work-life stressors, any family issues, any financial issues, maybe if there's any drug problems, maybe any legal issues. So these are typically add-ons to a benefits plan that you typically wouldn't see besides your life, disability, health, and dental. So they do come at a charge. I could tell you the telemedicine, that might range from $6 to $8. An employee's assistance plan might range from $3 to $5 per plan member. These are great add-ons to have to a plan. Like I said, they could not be more timely. A lot of people are not seeing their healthcare providers, partly because of fear. So this is a great way to do it. Some of our insurance companies actually are even offering this service for free right now. We have one that's offering it for free up until June. We have another insurance company that's going to be making it standard sometime this summer. We don't have the exact date. So they are definitely welcome services right now. You can see in my little graph right there, even besides COVID, is having something like telemedicine is, if you have to go to see your practitioner to get a referral, that might take you anywhere from 3 days to 6 days. It might have an employee out of work for half a day, compared to maybe someone sitting in their office closing the door, and they basically could be in touch with a medical practitioner or a nurse practitioner maybe within 10 minutes and get the referral they need, and away they go. So You know, with COVID, it's brought a lot of negative into our world, but it's kind of forced everyone's hand a little bit to get a little more virtual. And I think when we see this all said and done, we're going to see services like this being used more and more. I can tell you with the Employees Assistance Plan, it's a great service. You know, there's a lot of people that have added it to their plans over the years. I think people need that outlet right now. You know, I do know that some people are using their psychology services right now. A lot of employers are struggling with their employees' mental health. Having these things on your plan is a great resource, especially for a lot of small, medium-sized businesses who maybe don't have that dedicated HR professional, to give your employees and their families an outlet and a professional resource to reach out to. We've been hearing nothing but positive results with these things. So a lot of good news coming in the benefits space. Like Gina said, is the news across the board with insurance it's almost changing daily. I know we're filling up a lot of people's inboxes with information, but you know, when you're a broker and you deal with probably 30 plus companies, it's important for employees or our clients to have this information immediately, because there are a lot of people who need some of these financial relief measures anyways, and they need access to information to help their employees with mental health issues, maybe financial issues. So these things are very timely. The virtual stuff is definitely pushing the envelope. This is my first virtual meeting from home. Before we start this call, I had to kick my kids upstairs. So we're definitely in a new world, but I think there's going to be a lot of positive that comes out of this when we're all said and done, when it comes to a lot of the things we consume when it relates to insurance anyways. So that's all I have on the benefit space, and I think we're maybe going to move into a Q&A there. Hello.
If anybody has any questions, you can unmute your mic or type your questions in the chat box.
While we're waiting, I'd just like to make a very important point that it happens to be someone's very big birthday today. That would be Michelle Levine.
Happy birthday to our executive director.
Thank you, everybody. All right, Amine, I guess the presentation was very thorough. Certainly Ron and Gina are available. If you have any questions post-webinar that you want to have them address, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to reach out to you on and connect with you on any of the questions that you might have. I thought the presentation was great. The information, as you say, is fluid, changing on a daily basis. It must be very challenging for you folks in the insurance industry. You've never seen this before. So your response to this, I think, has been wonderful. Gina, you said the National Association has been very flexible and is, understanding of a lot of these policy changes. How is that being communicated at the national level to brokers, to people that are holding policies?
To brokers, it's through our associations, because so that each province has an association that then rolls up into the national body. So we've been having weekly meetings with IBC, and committees have been, so lots of email, lots of these web type meetings going on. In terms of the consumers, it tends to be more of a news release approach to get the information out. So as I say, I think that the announcements on the personal auto insurance side flooded mainstream media late last week as companies started formally announce. IBC basically said to its membership, "You need to do something. So let's start working on how we're going to be more flexible when it comes to auto insurance and acknowledge the fact that people are driving less than they were before." So mainstream media generally, and as Ron mentioned as well, through whether it's one-on-one or newsletters, emails, phone calls from your broker, is how the general public is finding out about this. And yeah, the associations as well just have their formal channels, kind of as we do here at FBA.
And so what happens if you have an operation in New Brunswick, maybe, out west? Some of our members are running operations right across the country. Do the policies vary from province to province? How is that managed if you have multiple locations for your business?
Yeah, they do. You can have one broker, but depending on your footprint across the country, there is different licensing requirements, and there are different underwriting guidelines offered by some companies on a province by province basis. So there can be variations in requirements as well as government regulation, especially on the auto side. Based on which province you're operating in. So it is important that the broker's aware of that, and of course the business owner as well.
Interesting. And Ron, what happens when you make changes to your employee benefit profile? What happens post-COVID? Do you have a sense of how that renegotiation of insurance policies is going to unfold and the impact it's going to have on businesses?
So are you talking about making changes to an existing plan currently?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what our insurers have told us. Some companies have actually limited some of the changes they're going to be making on their policies. Some might not be making any changes at all unless someone wants to temporarily suspend employees or suspend the whole plan altogether. There's no guarantees what an insurance company will or won't do 3 or 4 months down the road, right? So that's where we're getting people to kind of pause and just, think about, how their policies really work and potentially what might happen, that 3 or 4 months down to know if we're back to normal.
So we really don't know what the financial impact is going to be yet. Is that what I'm hearing, really?
No.
We're in uncharted territory here.
Gina and I being in the same position is, we work for the clients, but insurance companies are our partners to supply product. And, most people usually are not that positive when it comes to insurance companies. They don't sit in the best of light, but it's been pretty positive so far, seeing them put their best foot forward. With a lot of the initiatives on all sides of the business for clients, which is it's really good.
Great.
John, you have a business that works with clients when they're away from home, the Home Away program. What are you seeing at your end from a business perspective? Is your business still continuing in the same fashion? I'm sure you're not nearly as busy on the residential front, but has it provided opportunity on the commercial front for you to continue to do some business?
No, not at all, but and the residential definitely has declined for sure.
Yeah.
Because people came back home early.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess those that are in business still continue to go to their business fronts. Ron, you were saying that you do shifts in your employees coming and going, and so that you can maintain the physical distancing. So just from your own business perspective, you're having to manage that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big change.
Challenging times.
I
Well,
look at Gina with how many offices? We have 3, and I just it all of a sudden makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had asked me 3 months ago if we could be operating virtually and have the majority of our staff working from home, I would have told you that would take a year or 2 to pull off. And you know, say crisis is the we've certainly found very quickly how fast you can pivot and change your operations to you know, necessity, I guess. Yeah.
We've all learned how to adapt to these challenging times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Who would have knew?
If I can make maybe one last comment on the insurance side is we've definitely noticed, and I know Gina the same, is, you know, the insurance world kind of hovers between 2 things, advice and price. And some of the folks who have only focused on price are suffering with a lack of advice right now. And like any industry, there's good, better, and best. And, you know, like I said, speaking and tipping my hat to Gina's operation as well, it definitely pays to deal with an expert right now, because there's a lot of people who are making moves on some of their insurance plans without the proper advice. And like with all things insurance, if there's claims and there's not coverage, then there's liability and there's lawsuits. So now more than ever, you want to make sure you get it right.
Yeah, well said.
Great point. Great point.
Well, thank you, Gina and Ian. You guys have definitely provided some great information and advice here, advice that we can all benefit from. And I definitely echo what Ron said. It does pay to work with an expert during these times, with all these uncertainties and with the ever-changing information coming out every day. From this presentation, it was really nice to know that insurance companies are able to defer premium payments, defer renewals, and that this employee assistance plan seems like something employers should definitely be taking advantage of, especially during this time. So there is support out there. And if anybody does have any questions after this webinar, as Michelle said, you could reach out to her or Ron or Gina. At Family Business Atlantic, we will be continuing to provide more Staying Connected webinars, and we encourage you to visit our website for more offerings. Please help us build our family business community and share and like us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're constantly providing updates, and we have a series of webinars over the next few weeks for all of us to take advantage of and to learn from. Together, we will get through this confusing and challenging time. And at Family Business Atlantic, we are a family. We are here for you. And as you can see, we have great trusted advisors like Ron and Gina to be providing this great information to us all. So please lean on the programs that we are providing. So thank you all for joining us. And thanks again, Ron and Gina, for the lovely presentation.
Welcome.
No
Take
problem.
care, everyone.
Have a good Friday.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.